Hey everybody, I'm Monty Montys.
And I'm Tiff.
And these
are a few
of our favorite For a layoff, that was pretty good.
That was good, huh?
That was pretty good.
I was trying to impress you.
I heard a little vibrato. Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, we are back. It is good to be back.
Very happy to be back.
Tiff, how you been?
I've been good. How are you?
I've been good.
Nice.
Listen, y'all, your favorite shows, they got to take a little time off. They just can't make episode after episode. You need a break.
Yes.
And good break, needed break. Feel good to be back. We got a little different setup here now. As you can see, we trying to mix some things up.
This
Season two.
Yeah.
And we look to have some great experiences. Even some people in the crew have had some changes and going on with them. So it's a lot to to account for. But since we last talked, so much stuff has happened as the year closed out.
Yes.
And we are now pretty much through January. You guys are probably gonna hear this in February, but a lot has happened.
Yes.
So we just wanted to recap some things.
Where do we start?
Oh my goodness. I guess the most pressing thing, of course, is the election.
Yes.
So let's, again, this is a music show, but everything, we have to just still stay current on some events and things like that. So, of course, everybody knows, unless you're living under a rock, Joe Biden won the 2020 presidential election. Joe Beasy.
That's right.
And Kamala.
Whoop, whoop.
Sorry to all my Delta friends, a.k.a. Kamala Harris.
That's right.
HBCU, shout out. And so I just want to ask you, Tiff, how did it feel when you kind of saw the election results and things happened and went for Joe Biden?
I was extremely happy, very much so proud. Obviously, Joe Biden has been on 2 historical tickets.
That's a good. Oh, that's
He's
true.
been on 2 historical tickets.
That's true.
Okay, he was the vice president for Barack Obama, our first Black president, and he put Kamala Harris on his ticket, and she is the first female and a Black woman as VP, and I could not be more proud. Honestly, the tears, I couldn't stop. I was crying.
That it was. Okay, now I'll put it like this. I remember that day and that night, it didn't look as good at first because I said, oh, man.
No.
Because of the way they were doing the count, and we can talk about that later, the controversy. But then they pulled it out and, somebody put it in perspective for me because even with Barack Obama, give or take, first of all, I don't know any president that does everything they said they're going to do because it's not even always up to them.
Right.
So there's always kind of a feeling like, man, Barack didn't do this, he didn't do that. And that's true. And I agree with a lot of things about that. But somebody said, but do you understand what it means for a young Black kid to be, say, 9 years old and your president is Black and you're Black? That's something we never saw.
Representation is everything.
That's something we could never even fathom. It used to be a joke, Black president, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure, it can happen.
Right.
No, it really can happen. It happened.
And now imagine you're an 11-year-old Black girl.
Yes.
And now you see a woman of color in the White House.
Wow.
I love there's some graphic or meme where they show all these vice president VPs and this white person, white male, old white male a lot of times. And then there's Kamala. I said, regardless of what they do or if they pass the bill you want or don't pass the bill you want, just for a generation to now come up and have seen a Black president and a female Black vice president, there's ripple effects to that we won't see for years yet because it's going to inspire people.
I believe that. And you know what? I feel very hopeful. I feel change coming, and we have to remember this is something, like you said, that we never thought we would see.
Oh, no.
But you have to remember what our ancestors have been fighting for.
Yes.
Just so that we can have exactly what it is that we've accomplished.
Yes.
So the fight continues.
Yes, it does.
I'm very hopeful. I feel change is on the way.
Yeah, and so you know what I really hope in my heart? I hope This is a big hope, but I hope things can kind of come back together because we were so divided and things got so crazy. And we're going to talk about how crazy they got at the Capitol in a minute, but it's like, okay, everybody, let's reset. Because obviously we got really nowhere being so divided.
Yes.
You can't just want everything you want and the other person wants everything they want. Nobody wants to, or we're not going to get nothing done.
Right.
Without no compromise, we're not going to get nothing done. So I truly hope that both sides just be like, okay, all right, let's just stop this and let's try to at least somewhat work together, because it got so bad and so contentious that I would just look at, stuff happening in Congress and the Senate. I'm like, man, is anything gonna
seriously
happen? Because y'all are just so entrenched on either side. This is crazy. So,
and you know what? And we really can't even talk about this without shouting out Georgia. We have to shout out
let's take
Georgia,
it there.
Okay. And Stacey Abrams. Okay, Stacey Abrams in Georgia. We flipped the entire seat, the state, and they flipped the seats for the Senate. And this is amazing. So we cannot really not talk about that.
See, now let me tell y'all something real quick. Let me look at the camera. Let me tell y'all something. See, you don't try a black woman.
Oh no.
Do not try a black woman. I'm gonna try to tell y'all.
Turn his mic up.
Right. Because I remember in 2018, I was going nuts. And it really seemed like people weren't paying attention. I don't even know how I stumbled on the Stacey Abrams situation in Georgia with Brian Kemp. But basically, not even basically, they stole the election from Stacey Abrams in 2018.
Yes.
Go back or do the research, you will see Brian Kemp, as Secretary of State, was running for governor. Basically, that means he's over the election. He's the one in charge of counting the votes for his own election.
Yes.
And I remember Stacey Abrams just kept being like, how y'all going, is anybody going to do something about this?
That's not weird.
Closing polling places in urban areas quickly. It was just a railroad they did on her.
Yes.
And then she said, okay,
problem.
She said, you can have your little governorship.
Yeah, it's cool.
Because I'm about to flip the whole state.
Yes.
And we about to flip this presidency. Like,
yes.
I can't say enough about her.
So proud.
So proud.
Yes.
Like, she just, I mean, I don't even know what do you think her next plans are?
Who knows? Who knows? Like, at this point, I expect her to do anything.
See, seriously, she's got so much capital right now. I'm just trying to see if there's anything lately. What's the latest news on her? Now, see, she's Stacey Abrams mobilizing Asian Americans now. And Stacey Abrams says Georgia runoffs are just the beginning. She really is in a place that it's funny how God could work sometimes, because you think you might really want one thing, but you don't get that one thing, but then it turns, because
there was a different plan.
Had she been governor, do you know how many people she signed up in Georgia for? I don't think there's no way she would have had the time to do all of that and then mobilize those people. But look what she done did. And she flipped Georgia.
Oh, yes. And that state has been a Republican state for how
long? Time. I mean, I can't, I would have to look it up.
I think it's been like 30 plus years, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it has not been blue for a very, very long time.
And it just goes to show you what one person can really do, what one determined person can do. Let's finish up. We're going to finish up some political stuff here. We also had on January 6th, which I feel is one of the days that will live in infamy. It's days like Pearl Harbor, 9/11, all that. January 6th was just a day that I just could not believe what I was seeing. I mean, and it's like, as crazy as things were, not a lot has shocked me, but that shocked me. Where people, not patriots, people, just folk, stormed the Capitol.
Mainly white folk.
Mainly. I mean, that's not hyperbole. Just look at the number. Look at the crowd. Stormed the Capitol.
Yes.
I'm not sure what they thought what they was gonna do.
That was my question. When they got in there, then what?
What is that like?
That's what I want to know.
Is a law gonna change in an hour and a half? Like what y'all? Now we do know some stuff is coming out that not everybody was just storming at the storm. There were some nefarious plans.
Yes, there's zip ties.
Some people that were targeted in there. It wasn't was the House. It was the House was me. Yes. And they were actually at the time for Biden. They were going to actually approve Biden at the time, and so people were literally in hiding. I've heard AOC talk about some things. I've heard another congressman talk about some things where they were literally looking for her and another person to do them harm. Mind you, this is not maybe the same people, but of the same mindset of people who had an agenda to kidnap the governor of Michigan. There was a woman.
Yes.
And to try her openly among them for her crime.
Yes.
So unfortunately, there was some loss of life.
Yes.
Unfortunately, even a man doing his job as a Capitol police officer lost his life, and which is just totally ridiculous. Because I've heard many people of that group love to tell me how Blue Lives Matter.
Oh, not the same Blue Lives they was beating up on.
But I guess they was okay, because that's what all they told me. Yeah. But I see it didn't matter that day.
No.
Yeah, because now and then the crazy thing is, now let me tell you what's happening now, because here was January 5th. We're going to the Capitol. We're gonna storm it.
Yeah.
We are taking over.
It's a revolution.
January 7th. The only reason I was there was that Donald Trump telling me to go there, and I'm just now there's a literal. I've heard people say that there is a strategy now where if you was there and you've been arrested, or they looking for you, or you put your stuff on social media and try to take it off, they still got it. Now you have to blame Trump, because what happens is they feel like these people will win in a civil court.
Yes.
Because first of all, we never seen the president basically mobilize, which he did. He called for people to come there.
Yes.
And so I heard a lawyer say that technically these people, they might not get off on criminal charges. They still might have to face, but civilly, they could literally say, we were called to arms by the president. So that's why you're seeing so many of them say that. I was just there because, Trump told me that. That's so many people doing that right now.
If you say, and I want to say this too, I just want to be clear. This is not patriotism, it's terrorism.
Talk about it.
Just to be clear. But you will also see on the footage that they were actually, like, when they were pushing to get into the building, they were actually saying things to the police like, move, your boss invited me here. The president invited me here. It was like they really, really thought that they were operating under his request. They were doing that.
And so that's that group, because like I said, there's some people that were really trying to do some harm to people.
Yes.
There were people there that just wanted to see just craziness. But then there literally were people who felt like, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. It's crazy. They really felt like, I'm called to be here.
Yes.
Like I'm supposed to.
And it was okay.
Yeah.
It was the privilege for me.
Well,
that's what it was the privilege for me. And it was like, they really was like, what's wrong with us? No, what's wrong with you? You cannot go storming a federal building. Like, it's not okay.
No.
And had it been us, and by us, I mean Black people, they would be cleaning up our blood off the Capitol right now.
Well, let's say, I'm glad you said that, because while that was happening, there was a young Black man who had set his camera up as people were walking by him, chanting, going into the Capitol. And he said, I just want to say this. He said, about a month ago for George Floyd, he said it was 8 of us in suits at these Capitol steps. He said, and they would not let us get any further than the steps. He said 8 Black men in suits. And he's like, look at this right now. I wish I could have saved that clip. And he said, I'm just showing y'all. Yeah. He said, because we were here. He said, we was here a month ago trying to march for Joe. He said, just 8 in suits. But so, that again. And so
I was just in DC. Remember, I was there March. I was there for the march. And
I mean,
the amount of police was insane. Okay. Like, we couldn't go anywhere without there being, National Guard and police. They were everywhere throughout that. And I planned on going to the inauguration. I did want to go. But obviously, because of what happened on January 6th, I thought it was best that I did not.
Smart move.
Yeah.
And see, that's the one thing that was getting on my nerves that I heard from the authorities. This whole we were caught by surprise or we didn't. No. Who? I heard, I was on social media on the 4th and 5th, and they were like, "Oh no, it's going down."
Yeah.
He coming, baby. So I don't know, but
and there were requests were denied. Did you read that? They were asking for additional assistance from the police, and it was denied. Also, there was a gentleman. Oh, I was being too nice when I called him a gentleman. There was a terrorist that stormed the Capitol, and his brother is currently in the Secret Service.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many things are coming out now.
There was a guy that was literally storming the Capitol with his work badge on for crying out.
They don't even.
Lord.
They don't even
really?
right, do they?
Like, yeah. We see you with network solutions right here on your thing. Like, bro, what do you? Anyway,
it's
so
the privilege though, because what
yeah, that just was going to happen. I could not believe that was really happening. Yeah. So there's that. We lost some people as well. Okay. We got a couple minutes for this segment. Let's just hit, most recently, let's go backwards, start front and go backwards. We just lost the great Cicely Tyson.
Yes.
Who I love. I know you love.
Love a lot. Like literally my eyes are going to tear up.
Cicely Tyson. You know what? I just watched with your favorite, Lawrence Fishburne. I just watched Hoodlum. Yeah. And she is great in that movie as the queen. She's actually playing a real, Lord, I'm gonna mess the name up, but back when they were running numbers in Harlem and all that, she's so good in that. Just a true icon, class. And you said something, you told me, our Betty Davis.
Yes.
That's a great, Betty White, I'm sorry, our Betty White.
You know, the white people have Betty and we had Cicely. She
Cicely.
Was ours. And you know, definitely a queen. And I just appreciate her contribution to, you know, to the arts. And she was working. And I mean,
never stopped working.
Working at 96, she was working. And I mean, and as long as Tyler Perry is here, she was gonna stay working. Okay, he was gonna make a role for Miss Cicely.
OTP.
Oh yes, he was gonna make a role for Miss Cicely. So I'm just grateful to have had the opportunity to just see her come alive on film.
Just get them wigs right, Tyler. So anyway. Also, real quick too, we did lose baseball great Hank Aaron, who was a pioneer. Jackie Robinson was the first to integrate, and then Hank Aaron literally said, seeing Jackie Robinson inspired him to play baseball. He said at first, I think he had asked his father, or his father asked what he wanted to be. I think he said an astronaut at first, and his father was like, "Son, ain't no black astronauts." And he said, "Well, I want to play ball." He said, "Ain't no black ball players." And then seeing Jackie inspired him, and he broke Babe Ruth's home run record, and the things he had to go through to do that were so stressful, but he was never bitter. So we're going to come back. We're going to have to cut this segment off. See, we professional y'all, so we got to do real segments and things. But we're going to pick back up. We still have to talk about, of course, the pandemic as well. And Tiff has a testimony to tell y'all about that, and we're going to get definitely into that. So stay with us. We'll be right back on Our Favorite Things. Today's episode of Our Favorite Things is brought to you by Taste and See Catering, owned by Rosemary Wade. She does single meals, meal prep, or even full-on catering. She is a world-class trained chef. Guys, the food is amazing. I promise you will not be disappointed. But if you can do me a big favor, go to her Instagram. It's Taste and See 14, or to her Facebook, Rosemary Ann. You will get information there to vote for her. She is up for the 2021 Favorite Chef Award. It would really be a blessing if we could support her and vote for her. It would do her heart good. And then get some food while you're at it. I highly recommend the shrimp and grits, but everything she does is great. Check it out again. That is Taste and See Catering. Please be a blessing to her. I'd appreciate it. All right, we're back. This is part 2 of our segment. So we've hit on, of course, some of the political things that happened as the year ended. And we're still dealing with this, but we're going to kind of just hit on it as well. Of course, the pandemic. Oh, yes. And we're hoping everybody is really still being safe, being careful out there, because, it's been almost a year of it being mainstream in this country.
Yes. But it's not over.
And that's what I'm saying.
Over.
I think people kind of feel like, man, yo, COVID crazy. But anyway, what y'all doing? Like, no, man, it's still out here.
Yeah.
Rona ain't going nowhere. But Tiff, it happened to just coincide with our break. We didn't plan to break around this, but
yes,
you actually had a serious bout with it as well.
I did. So I want to say this. First off, shout out to my co-host, okay? He is such an amazing co-host and friend.
Turn our mic up. Go ahead.
Every single day that I was sick, you made sure that you checked up on me and you lifted me up in prayer. And I'm so grateful for that. I did. So I did around Thanksgiving holiday. I did get corona. You don't have to go out and find Miss Rona. She will come to you when it's your turn. And so that is, I believe, what happened. And when you try to narrow down where you got it from, you'll go crazy trying to figure this out. And, people seem a bit ashamed to talk about it as if, I don't, they don't want to really say that they've had it or they have it, which in my opinion, I don't believe is socially responsible, right?
No, yeah.
So if you have, COVID-19, the most socially responsible thing to do, of course, is to stay home and do not go out. But I think the issue is that people don't want to stay home. So they don't want to tell you they have COVID and they want to go on about their daily lives, not knowing that this can affect someone else. And though you may not, have severe symptoms, you don't know what it's going to do to the next person. So, again, during the holiday season, Thanksgiving, I did get COVID, and it started off just with no taste and no smell. And then my symptoms started to progress. I started to feel some body pain, a constant fever. My neck and my head, it felt like somebody was beating me with the pipe over the head. That was pretty bad. But I had some complications because I do have asthma. I was born an asthmatic, so it did start to interfere with my breathing. So I had to visit the hospital a few times. But once they got my vitals up and my oxygen levels up, I was able to go home. So I was just taking a lot of vitamin C, zinc, D, elderberry, kind of every vitamin there is. I cleared out the shelf so that, and, drinking a lot of teas and trying to recover. But you know what? God was there with me the whole time and he brought me through, and I'm so grateful. Now I am still dealing with some of the aftermath of that. So again, this was around Thanksgiving, and to date, I still have not regained my full senses. So I still cannot completely smell or taste. And if it were not for the texture, I wouldn't know the difference between a peach and an apple.
That is crazy.
I tell you that much.
Wow.
And there are some other things that people really kind of don't talk about, but I'm gonna be a little bit of I'll give you some transparency. I didn't know that this was a thing. I didn't know what was happening. My natural hair is also coming out because of it. Absolutely. So I do not know if it's going. It seems as if now it's stopping to shed as much, but in the very beginning, my hair was coming out in handfuls.
Good gracious.
Yes. And so I
haven't heard that
No,
before.
I didn't either. I didn't know what was happening. And so I talked to my primary physician, who put me with a dermatologist, who said that, it's a thing. It's a thing that they don't really talk about, and they don't call it a symptom, but it happens, I guess, to more women than none. And so I also had a cousin who had COVID as well, and she also had the same symptoms. So when the last time the doctor told me, well, like in 6 to 8 months that should stop, I'm like, well, in 6 months I'm gonna be born. I certainly hope not.
Yeah.
But so that's another thing that's been happening. But without God, I don't know what I would have been able to. I couldn't have gotten through this. Just a lot. I couldn't go out. So I mean, that was my time. I did a lot of praying, a lot of reading, a lot of studying.
Well, let me ask you this, because I want to know, was this a real strategy, or were you just, if you know Tiff is great, upbeat and all that. And whenever I would talk to you, when you would text me and I'd be like, hey, how you doing, all that, and you would tell me these things were going on, I would get so worried. But when I would literally talk to you, you always seemed so up, and it would actually make me feel better because I would be so worried. Now, was that a conscious thing where you're like, okay, I'm just going to try to be positive?
Absolutely.
Or, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I'm that way, period.
Yeah.
You hear the stories, and we know that COVID has not been kind to many, and we've lost so many people, to this awful disease. So to be honest, I was scared. Okay. I was scared to death. Okay. Especially when it started to mess with my breathing. But I also know what God I serve.
Yeah.
So it was very, very important for me to be optimistic. Even though it seemed very bad in that moment, I knew that it was going to get better. I'm also I'm my father's baby, but I'm my mother's oldest. So I'm used to carrying a lot of weight and having to save face and be the strength for the family, right? So my mother is a panicker, right? So when she's calling, she's like crying and anxious and, oh my God, baby, are you okay? And I'm like, no, Mom, everything's fine. Everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So I've become accustomed of just being optimistic and being positive. And I think that played a good role in kind of just helping me through too.
And I would really encourage anybody that's going through it right now, try that mindset. I'm sure it's scary and I'm sure it's hard, but I'm telling you, talking with her, you would have never known unless she tell you that something was really happening. And I really think that was part of your recovery.
I do too.
Because, doctors will tell you with any kind of diagnosis, try to be positive, try to stay up. It literally, your mental can help your physical. And so I remember just thinking like, man, she is really going, as crazy as this is, handling it, because it went on. I mean, how long were you really like the physical?
Okay, so I tested, like I said, around the Thanksgiving holiday, I tested positive. That Saturday, I actually woke up, no taste, no smell. That is so strange, by the way.
That's crazy.
I'm literally sitting over there by candles that are burning and nothing, like I smell nothing. So that was the first sign, but I'm sorry, what did you say?
I was just saying, how long did you have the physical real ailments?
So I was at least for the first month, I really was really struggling with some of the symptoms. The crazy thing is, after I tested negative, I still had a fever for a week. Consistently. I still had a high fever for the week. And so I waited before I I didn't want to go back into the public. I didn't want to go back to work. Even though I was negative, I wanted my symptoms to go away. So after I took the first negative test, I waited 10 days and I took another test to make sure. And because there's a lot of false negatives and positives that happen.
I was just talking to someone about that. Yeah.
That happens as well. So once I waited the 10 days and I took that, then I was fine. But definitely a month strong symptoms definitely were kicking in. Goodness. Pain, fever, that. And there's a lot of symptoms that I didn't have. I had a lot, but once they called me from the doctor and the health department, they were going over this list of symptoms. I'm like, yeah, no, didn't have that. No, I didn't have that one. Didn't have that one. It's like crazy how this thing affects different people.
This COVID virus is just really, anybody in the medical field will tell you that it's doing things no virus has ever done. Yes. Like, there's basically rules for viruses. Yes. Viruses can only do certain things. Remember they told us around this time last year, once it gets hot, y'all gonna be all right.
I said it's gonna burn it up.
And because again, you don't really. There's a reason why they call it cold and flu season. Yes. Because when it happens, we in Vegas is in 110 degree heat. Rona's still acting like nothing. It's just, and then the hair loss thing is crazy to me because I didn't hear that, but you hear so many kind of, and I'm just like, what is this thing? Yeah. Like what? This is just beyond our comprehension. Now, full disclosure, y'all. I'm going to tell you, I think I told you this. Now, I haven't really been tested for it, but I think
you had that thing, didn't you?
I don't know, because here's my thing. I lost my taste for a little bit, but I didn't realize I lost my taste. I remember just complaining for like a week how food wasn't tasting right.
Who made this?
But I was blaming the food, right? And it didn't even, y'all, I know this sounds crazy. I know this sounds stupid, but it was never occurring to me about, I would just eat something like, yo, like, bro, man, they lacking on this. You know what I mean?
This food, is that Lori's?
And I'm promising you, probably till like almost 2 weeks of that. And I was just like, I was like, wait, is this Rona stuff? But I didn't have nothing else. So it did not ever. And by the time I did that though, I started getting stuff back. And I was like, Lord Jesus, that might have
had that thing.
but I just remember like, I would just taste something. I'm like, yo, why all this stuff in this house? I'm like, is stuff expired? And I would just be in a bad mood. And it literally would just go, I said, man. Yeah. So, so I don't know. I told somebody that
is the first kind of like, once I realized that, I was anticipating a positive test because that is the main symptom.
That is.
Loss of taste and smell. And that is something that I've never experienced, okay? Because, I'm an eater. I'm a foodie, okay? So that really just upset me.
But see, yours was just like, bam.
Oh, yeah. I was just like, and I went crazy. Like, I was like doing crazy stuff, like eating, like biting the onion. Like, I wanted to see how real this thing was. Like, I'm like, oh, I can't taste this onion. Oh, this thing is for real out here. Like spoonfuls of peanut butter, just doing some crazy stuff, just trying to taste anything I could.
Wow.
And I literally could taste nothing. It's so strange.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so strange.
Yeah.
But I'm praying for us as a nation. Like God has to heal this land. I'm ready for Rona to go on about a business.
See, so we're going to end with this. I mean, we talked about some things, but so now there is the word of the vaccine.
Yes.
And I know there are people on both sides of the fence about that. And
how do you feel about it?
You know what? Here's the thing. And because there's a part of me like vaccine, man, I ain't taking no vaccine. They must be crazy. Yeah. And then, you see these memes, and memes sometimes have a great way of putting things in perspective. It's like, no vaccine, huh? How about all that processed food you've been putting in your body? I'm like, I mean, this Twinkie was from 2005, I guess. Yeah. It was like, y'all worried about a vaccine, and a lot of y'all on cocaine.
Yeah. No, seriously. Like, honestly.
I said, man, that is true.
What other kind of stuff you put in your body?
And the crazy thing, now here's what I ask you one about. Because let's say the vaccine works.
Okay.
And let's say you're a business and your people been laid off. If the vaccine works, what about the pressure of making people take the vaccine? Because ostensibly, if the vaccine works, everybody takes the vaccine, we would be back to normal.
Right.
But the only reason we wouldn't, I'm putting a big if on it, if the vaccine works, but if people don't really take it, then we still got to be quarantined. Right. So I feel like these corporations are going to start being like, if you want to work here, you're going to have to get this vaccine.
Right. Especially when it comes to the children, because you think about it. They can't go to school without getting shots anyway.
Right? Yes, they got to get vaccinated.
You would think that they would probably maybe do that, but I don't know how I feel necessarily about being forced to take it. That doesn't necessarily sit well with me. I'm kind of on the fence of taking it. Now, because I've had it, they say that you have some kind of natural immunity, right? To it. However, I don't know how long that's going to last because there are some cases of reinfection. It's very low.
I've heard,
but it is cases of reinfection, and those that were reinfected, it's worse than it was the first time,
right? Heard that too.
So, I don't take the flu shot. Right.
Yeah, I've never had a flu shot before.
I've never taken a flu shot. Well, actually, I have taken the flu shot once, and that was 11 years ago. And I was extremely sick when I took the flu shot.
Wow. Okay.
So, if I think about that, I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't want to take that. I don't want to be forced to do it though.
Yeah.
It has to be my own choice, my own decision in order to take it. So I don't know what I would do if my company says, well, Tiffany, you got to take the vaccine.
I feel like.
Do you know if you're going to take it yet?
I'm not really a medicine guy at all. I don't hardly take, if anybody knows me, to God's grace, yes. I don't really get like colds and stuff. And if I ever do, all I do is a little orange juice with some Pope. That's all I do. I'll take that for anything. You know what I'm saying? Okay. That's like my black people with Sprite and crackers. That's all I do.
Put some mentholatum.
Yeah,
on.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not a big, and like you said, I don't want to have to be forced with it. I think a lot of us, like people that are taking the vaccine, like I took the vaccine, we're like, oh, you did?
Yeah, now I'm watching
let me
to see
just,
what's going to happen.
now, do you feel a third arm going out of your side? Because so I understand both parts because we kind of want to get back to normal. And I understand folk trying to make money and hey, it's going to be, but somebody literally was just telling me like the jobs are literally already talking to their HR departments. Like what are the parameters that we can enforce for this thing?
And, you know, and I'm sorry if I'm, you know, I don't want to poke nobody if y'all ain't got your stimmy yet, but I know a lot of y'all still out there waiting on that stimulus check, but now if it's been said that this next stimulus that is coming will be contingent upon people getting the actual vaccination. Oh, is what I heard. I don't know how true that is, but that's been said that if they, and I would not doubt that given that our president wants a certain amount of vaccinations done in a certain amount of days. So I could see that very well being a possible solution tell you right now, to the vaccination.
Black people? See, we've been talking that talk.
Yeah, into that 1,400 is in the balance.
1,400?
Go on and poke me right there.
Listen. Give me a little vaccine. Just give me a little bit. I don't want full.
Don't give me the whole
Don't
thing.
give me the whole.
Yeah.
See, that's
so I can get my check.
That's fam. Listen, need that TV. So anyway, man, that's our recap. Since we've been gone, there's a lot more we could have got into, but it's just too many things to cover. But we are looking for some great stuff in season 2. Great shows coming, great guests coming as well. I hope that you guys rock with us. We got some new formats and some things, and we still gonna do our movie shows. We're still gonna do our listening parties. Yeah. We love that and stuff, but we trying to go big time with it. So stay rocking with us. Anything else, Tiff?
No, like if you have not, share this if you have not, and please subscribe.
Subscribe. We do need that as well. So you guys already know what to do. Be blessed and stay sharp.